This year has been a crazy year for regulatory shifts within the crypto space. The biggest thing that we saw so far this year was the Genius Act getting passed. This was a game changer for stablecoins and just stablecoin adoption itself. Now, we talked about the Genius Act and what it could do for stablecoins like RLUSD, even USDC, and also what it will do for the underlying networks like the XRP Ledger, Ethereum, even Hedera, Stellar, you name it. Because again, stablecoin adoption is very beneficial for all of these networks that we know are being tapped in around payments with stablecoins. But again, this was all pertaining back to stablecoins. Stablecoins are great. Don't get me wrong. This is a crucial piece of legislation for, crypto regulations, but we're still waiting on one big thing. And that's the Clarity Act. Because this is going to lead to the entire space being fully regulated, getting clarity for crypto officially. Now, if we are thinking about that, let's talk about a few things that just happened over the last roughly 24 hours. So right off the rip, we have Crypto in America, new, Senate Democrats framework boost hopes for market structure deal. Dems market structure principles has sparked optimism among Republican industry leaders that bipartisan crypto market structure reform could have a path through the Senate. Now, again, there's been a lot of discussions and a lot of planning around this market structure deal. This is essentially that Clarity Act as well, right? That market structure bill. This is one of the most important things to focus on if you hold crypto, because again, what happens after this gets passed is full-on innovation within the traditional world with crypto tech. So if we're thinking about why hasn't XRP, why hasn't the banks tapped in, right? Where's the big banks tapping into XRP, utilizing XRP or utilizing public blockchain technology? The market structure bill or the Clarity Act, that's basically the big obstacle right now that we are just waiting on. After that, there's absolutely nothing holding big banks back or, major enterprise players from tapping in and utilizing this technology at scale. But over here we have from Chad Steingraber, Clarity Act in the Senate. The bill must receive a 60-40 vote to pass, which means it is entirely dependent on enough Democrats to sign on. Remember that the stablecoin bill was passed going over 60, which is a good sign, which is also why I brought up the Genius Act. Obviously, yes, I brought it up for many other reasons as well, just to kind of give you guys an insight that this was a very big deal for the space. We already witnessed a big change from it, right? Stablecoins are over $300 billion now, which is insane. And they also make up 1% of the M1 supply. Now, with the Clarity Act, this is probably going to be the biggest one that we see for a very long time. Probably one of the only major ones that every single... if we think about this, it's not just about XRP, right? It's about every single utility-based project. If you hold any utility-based project, you are 100% focused on this, because this is what allows your utility-based network or project, whatever the case may be, to be tapped in and utilized at scale. So we are 100% focused on this. It seems as though we're starting to make some progress, so I'm very excited about this. I do think that this bill gets passed into law by the end of the year as well. With how much pressure so far has been on crypto in the US, I would say that this gets passed before the end of the year. Now, one of the biggest things is the SEC. Because again, we have been witnessing so many big updates so far this year, and the SEC has not been shy about this, right? They launched Project Crypto. This happened back in the end of, July into the beginning of August. And this was a huge one because it gave us that confidence, and it really kind of showed us that the SEC is now a pro-crypto agency, and they are not going to hold back on crypto. They want crypto to be as successful as possible within the US. And then we got this on September 2nd, which was the SEC and the CFTC joint staff statement, Project Crypto Sprint. This was a clear confirmation that both the CFTC and the SEC are now working together, coordinated on making America the best place in the world to innovate with blockchain technology and participate in crypto asset markets, because they want the US to be the crypto leader globally. So these two are now working together. That got announced back in the beginning of September. And then we also got another big update regarding that, which was this one, which is the SEC and the CFTC staff issued joint statement on trading of certain spot crypto asset products. Again, another big update. This was regarding just exchanges and things like that, which again showed us that these two are fully committed on working together. And I bring all of this back up because we just got another big update from Paul Atkins, the SEC chair. So he has championed the concept of crypto super apps, where users can trade, lend, stake, and custody digital assets all under a single regulatory license. We now have the SEC fully committed to creating these frameworks and these licenses that bundle everything all into one thing. Another big thing was the ETF framework, right? Where any issuer of an ETF, all they have to do is go through that framework and they will get the green light. We have yet to hear any big update on that. However, I would argue that that is probably going to be, coming soon within like the next 3 months. But if we're thinking about this, these super apps are essentially banking the unbanked. This is bringing DeFi and crypto to everyone's mobile phone, essentially. That's where I see this headed. This will be that, social media moment for the internet. Because if we go back to the social media moment for the internet, that's what led to billions of individuals online tapped in, making transactions through specific, I mean, it was mainly around like GameFi on some of the social media apps, but also just in general, the adoption around the internet really kind of hit big during like the mid 2000 era, where you had like MySpace and Facebook really become very popular. So again, I do think that this is going to be that social media like moment where we start to see these super apps that empower individuals to really bank themselves through their mobile phone. And we already have applications like that in this space. Now, Paul Atkins also did say, ladies and gentlemen, we must admit that crypto's time has come. President Trump has tasked me with making America the crypto capital of the world. Here we have the video clip. Listen close to this.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we must admit that crypto's time has come. For too long, the SEC has weaponized its investigatory subpoena and enforcement authorities to subvert the crypto industry. That approach was not only ineffective, but injurious. It drove jobs, innovation, and capital overseas. American entrepreneurs bore the brunt and have been forced to spend fortunes on building a legal defense instead of a business. And today, ladies and gentlemen,
so we are now officially admitting that now is the time for crypto in the US. This is crazy coming from the SEC. This is what I mean by we are witnessing a sea change right now around the crypto market in the US. I feel bad for anyone that is not paying attention right now to this space, because we are about to make so much money. And the reason why is because the US is now opening up the floodgates. The SEC is officially flipping completely from what we are used to seeing. And it all happened within the 2025 timeframe. And guys, if we think that this is just like, the big moment, no, this is just the beginning of the big moment. We are going to see increased adoption. We are going to be seeing increased acceptance of crypto. And the moves from this point on, like in terms of announcements, they're only going to get bigger. And this reminds me back to ETFs. Because again, we know XRP has a ton of ETFs still waiting to get that approval. Here we have the XRP ETF decision week is almost here. This is from XRP_Crow, October 18th through the 25th, and the big one, Franklin Templeton, November 14th. So here we have all of those ETFs and what we are waiting on. All right, we have all of the dates here. And if we are taking what Paul Atkins is saying seriously, if crypto's time is now, then guess what? Now is the best time to approve these ETFs. because we also just got a big update from Ripple XDev, and they said demand for regulated XRP products in Canada continues to grow with 3iQ Corp's XRPQ ETF. Because we did get a big update from them, which was 3iQ Solana staking ETF and 3iQ XRP ETF record largest assets under management in their respective categories. We're excited to share that investor demand sees SolQ surpass CAD, this is 300 million Canadian dollars, and XRPQ exceed 150 Canadian dollars in assets under management. Launched earlier this year, both ETFs quickly established themselves as the largest in their respective categories among Canadian peers. Investor confidence has been further reinforced by early commitments from industry leaders including Skybridge Capital and ARK Invest in SolQ and Ripple in XRPQ. The momentum behind SolQ and XRPQ demonstrates that Canadian investors and global leaders in the digital asset space are embracing secure, transparent, and regulated access to digital assets. Now, again, this is in Canada. We have that clear confirmation of the demand being there. We have that clear confirmation that, this is a very successful product. It's working. It's already happening outside of the US. Now is the time for the US to get in line. Now is the time to get altcoin ETFs approved in the US. We are falling behind because we are still not getting an answer on these. Now, if we are also thinking about this, let's go over to this announcement. Because we just got an ETF pushed back. That's right. This is from Bank XRP. The SEC just extended review of the CBOE's BZX's proposed to list Franklin XRP ETF to November 14th for thorough evaluation. So that's where, if we go back to XRP Crow's post, that's where he pretty much brought up the original one, right? He said, and the big one, Franklin Templeton, November 14th, because this was originally in, October. A lot of these ETFs around XRP have been delayed. And I don't understand why, if we are hearing from the SEC that now is the time for crypto, now is the time for, the US to become a leader around crypto. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that happens. Well, if that is the case, why are we not greenlighting these altcoin ETFs? It makes absolutely no sense to me that we have a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF trading live in the US, a spot ETF as well, right? And we don't have an XRP ETF. It makes zero sense to me. So, we're still locked in on this. We're still focused on this heavily because, again, I do think that XRP deserves to have a spot XRP ETF trading live. It only makes a lot of sense, right? Because, again, the demand's there. And it is the third largest cryptocurrency in the space. And by the way, it's a US-based cryptocurrency at that as well. So we're definitely locked in here on this. I think that the biggest thing outside of ETFs currently is the Clarity Act. I think that the Clarity Act is going to open up a plethora of value and capital flowing into the space, but also it's going to bring in some of the biggest names out there around finance and also even Wall Street players. I think that it's going to really open the door for some of the largest players to not only tap in through investments, but also adopt. This is where we start to see that major adoption phase of the crypto space. And this can only lead to one thing. The prices of these assets, like XRP, going absolutely crazy. Yes, I do think that we will see these ETFs, every single one of these ETFs approved for XRP. Yes, I do believe that we are going to see major banks announce plans to utilize public blockchains. We already heard from JP Morgan that they're tapped in with Base. But it all begins with the Clarity Act getting passed. Obviously, the SEC is very serious about making sure that crypto is their highest priority right now. They want to make sure that the US is the crypto capital of the world. We already know that this admin has been very vocal about that as well. Scott Bessent has been all in on stablecoins for quite some time now. We also know that, Trump loves stablecoins. But also on top of all of that, the CFTC is now working with the SEC. It just kind of feels as though, like I said, I told you guys, a sea change has happened. We are now in a completely different world for crypto. And I think that this is only going to continue throughout the rest of this year and also even going into 2026. So we are now leaving the old phase of crypto behind. We are now in a completely new phase of crypto. And I think that this is going to lead to that utility-based bull run once we start to see major acceptance of crypto through major legislative moves. The biggest one right now, the Clarity Act. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.